Shalom Aleichem. Mishnah Yomi is in chapter 10 of Ketuvot, Kesuvos, Mishnah Gimel. Yesterday in Mishnah Beit we discussed the condition, which is, even if it's not written, this condition exists, called Ketubot, bnin, dichrin, where the heirs of a wife can collect the ketuvah owed to that specific wife, even if there was more than one wife in the family, and there are other heirs to the husband as well. However, yesterday we mentioned that this only applies where there's enough assets in the estate of the husband to pay all of the ketuvot of the wives and still have something left over for the biblical Yerusha, which is split evenly. Now, Mishnah Gimel explains more details of that case. Hayu sham nechosim baroi. If the estate had assets which were ra'ui. Now, ra'ui is an interesting word. It literally means fitting or appropriate, but it means they're coming to the estate, but they're not there now. The bnin says, for example, there was a business investment that the husband had that hasn't paid back yet, or a loan that's outstanding that's owed to the estate. So the Mishnah says these are einon kim muchzak. Assets that are coming are not like they're here yet, so they're not going to count for the total to pay out the Ketuvot bnin dichrin and then also have a Yerusha. The same distinction applies, we'll see later, to a bechor, a firstborn, who normally gets a double portion, but that's only in the muchzak, not in outstanding debts or interests owed to the estate of his father. Rabbi Shimon says, afilu yesham nechosim she'ein lem achrayit, even if they had plenty of assets, but they're not assets that have achrayit, literally your responsibility, meaning these are movables or metaltalin, as we say in Aramaic. They're not karka, they're not land. Eino klum, he says they do not count toward Ketuvot bnin dichrin ad sheyesham nechosim sheyesh lehem achrayit, until you have assets that have responsibility, meaning land. Yoter al shtei ketuvot dinar, more than the two ketuvot of the two separate wives who each have their own heirs entitled to a ketuvot bnin dichrin. You have to have a dinar more than that. So what Rabbi Shimon is saying is only land, karka, with achrayut counts towards ketuvot bnin dichrin. The bnin points out the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, but nowadays that we pay debts even from metaltalin, but the condition of bnin dichrin, that basically the grandchildren will inherit that dowry, or the children of that specific wife inherit a ketuvah, that only applies to karka. So God willing, when I win the lottery, I'm going to get a nice apartment building in Eretz Yisrael, karka, real estate, and give that to my daughter as a dowry, God willing. Hope to do that. Okay, let's go on to Mishnah Dalet. Mi shahaya nasui shalosh nashim, a man who had 3 wives, vamet, and he passed away. Now, the Gemara explains, the bnin here brings, it has to be they all got married at the same day. So don't be surprised, there was a group rate at the wedding hall, so it was much cheaper to have all 3 weddings to the same man on the same day. Think about it, you save on the catering, you'll invite the groom's family once, and the 3, it's a lot cheaper to make 3 weddings that way. Okay, not suggesting Lamaisa, but it could be there's reasons for this. Because if they were on different days, if one got married Monday and the next Wednesday and the next on Thursday, then whoever got married first would take precedence, as we learned yesterday. So here, even though they all got married on the same day, Ketuvota shel ze mana, the first wife is owed 100, v'shel zo matayim, the next one 200, shel zo shalosh maot, and the next one 300. So they have different amounts. Ve'ein sham ele mana, and after all the festivities, there's only 100 left over in the estate. So hokilt b'shava, these widows divide it evenly. Since each of them is entitled to at least 100 zuz, they divide this 100 zuz, this money, in 3 portions. Hayusham matayim, what if the husband left over 200? Now, the Gemara explains this Mishnah because what would normally happen is if they left 200, then all 3 widows have a claim of at least 100. So they would split the first 100 into thirds. But then that second 100, only 2 of the wives have a claim to that, so they would split it equally. So the Gemara explains, based on the math that we're about to see, the numbers we're about to see, that the math must be that one of the wives, the wife owed 200, waived her claim to the first 100. Maybe she felt bad for the wife who only had a ketuvah of 100, wanted her to collect a little bit more, as we'll see. So shel moneh, the wife entitled to a ketuvah of 100, notelet chamishim. She gets 50, and that can only happen if one of the other wives who was owed more relinquished her claim on the first 100 to allow that wife who's only owed 100 to take half of it. Shel matayim, shel shalosh maot, and the wives owed 200 and 300 the ketuvah, they take shlosha shel zahav. They each take 3 zahav. Now, 3 zahav here, each gold coin was worth 25 zuz. A gold dinar is 25 zuz, so they're each entitled to 75. So the 2 wives with bigger ketubot each take 75, and the wife with a ketubah of 100 takes 50. And that's only when one of the wives entitled to more relinquished her right to the first 100. The Mishnah goes on, Hayu sham sholosh ma'ot. The husband left 300 zuz in the estate. Shel maneh notelet chamishim. V'shel matayim maneh, the wife owed 200, takes 100. V'shel sholosh ma'ot shisha shel zahav. And the one who's owed 300 takes 6 gold dinar, which is 150 zuz. So again, the Gemara explains what happened here is the wife with the largest ketuvah, the 300 zuz ketuvah wife, said, I'm relinquishing my claim to the first 100 zuz in the estate. So that way the 2 wives with the smaller ketuvah amount could split that evenly. That's why the one with the smallest ketuvah ends up with 50, and then the next one ends up with 100, because that middle wife, wife B, who was owed 200, well, she split evenly the first maneh with the first wife, so she gets 50, and then she splits the second 200 of the estate evenly with the wife who's owed 300. And that final 300, no one has a claim to it except for the wife who was originally owed 300, so that's why she gets all of that plus the 50 she split with the middle wife. And if you work out the math, the widow with the largest ketuvah gave up a little bit of money to make the division a little more fair. V'chen, the Mishnah adds, shlosha, 3 men, 3 of anybody, shehetilu the keys. They put their assets together into one wallet, one investment. Pahatu ohotiro, that investment gets smaller or greater. Kach hen chokin. This is how they divide, meaning they divide it proportionally. We understand if one business partner puts in 90% of the capital and one puts in 10%, and they make a profit, well, then 90% of the profit should go to the one who put in 90% of the capital. We are going to see cases much later in Bava Metzia, where they talk about an iska, a business arrangement, basically an investment where one of the partners puts in more money and the other partner puts in more work. And we're going to discuss that situation in more detail in Bava Metzia. This is just talking about putting in money. Maybe they bought merchandise and now they're dividing that. Yasher kochachem, be well.